Hi, everyone. My name is Jackelyn Rivera Orellana, and I am a fourth year PhD candidate at the Stanford Graduate School of Education, former teacher K through 3, as well as a literacy specialist, teacher leader. Excited to be here with you all as a research assistant for CLAVES Curriculum. I will be reviewing Unit 3. Super excited for y'all to be here. This is my favorite unit, and I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Unit 3 focuses on the following themes: language, race, and identity, and I will be breaking down each component to hopefully bring some clarity to you all. Here is a unit overview, which discusses the following question: how do language, race, and identity impact people's daily lives? This is the overarching question. Then you will center on two different cycle questions and then a specific writing prompt that focuses on the three different questions you're presented with. Here we have the unit multimodal text that I'll further review further. We wanted to put it on one slide as well as the unit materials for planning purposes. Here are the unit materials as well, all of the resources you will need to teach this unit. Now we have Cycle 0, the introduction. This lesson, it's one lesson, focuses on identity, race, and culture. Given the sensitivity of those topics, this is a perfect introduction for you all to talk about identity. It provides students with an activity centers on an identity wheel, and students get to discuss what really makes up their identity, whether it's centered through culture, language, etc. You have that opportunity to engage in that discussion with your students. Then you will discuss these principal 3 vocabulary words on identity, race, and culture, where they will be themed throughout the unit as well. Let's jump into Cycle 1, which centers around Drawn Together, with the cycle question: how could you convince someone that people can keep a connection to a culture when they don't speak all the languages of that culture? The hopes is by lesson 6, students will be able to answer it with the variety of text and discussions you all engage with. The materials you'll need are PowerPoints, student workbook, as well as lesson plans that are presented in the beginning with the QR code. Here are the multimodal text. Some things to keep in mind with lesson 2, the video on language and identity. Feel free to pause it as you see fit and engage in a discussion, as well as with the article of language and identity. Feel free to take a few days if so need be, but these are the resources that students get to lean on as well. Lessons 1 through 2 discuss these various vocabulary words, as well as encouraging students to include their various different languages that they may speak as well. Then we'll jump into lesson 3, which focuses on the Guess Who game, the morphology component of the lesson, where students open up their workbooks and they are presented with root words, and students get to combine prefixes in these root words to make new words, make new meanings, etc. The goal is students are playing around with language in a fun, gamified way. Lesson 4 focuses on fanboys, coordinating conjunctions, where students get to revisit the language and identity article and identify those coordinating conjunctions of for, so, and, but, yet, or, nor. And the beauty about this lesson is that it really is scaffolded so that it supports lesson 5, where students are using that understanding of fanboys or coordinating conjunctions, and they are creating complex sentences to inform the reader and communicate to the reader of their sentences more clearly. Then we have lesson 6, which is the discussion, again, revisiting the cycle question, where I think it's important to really set the norms because you'll be engaging in sensitive topics, students agreeing and disagreeing. It's important to send these norms and encourage students to be respectful of their classmates' opinions, to listen carefully to the ideas of their classmates, as well as making sure that students stick to the topic, as well as talk without raising their hand. That one we encourage because we want students to take autonomy with the discussion rather than having the teacher call on students. It's sort of like a power dynamic, encouraging students to take ownership of their own opinions. Cycle 2 centers on Crown, an ode to a fresh cut. This cycle focuses on the following question: how would you persuade lawmakers to support the Crown Act in order to protect people's rights to express their identity through their hair? All of these words and components of this question is broken down throughout the cycle. And if further scaffolding is needed, feel free to provide those scaffolds as well. The materials are the following: PowerPoint, student workbook, as well as the lesson plans. The multimodal text, in addition to Crown, students will get to watch the story of Black and Afro-textured hair. It discusses sensitive topics around enslavement, a variety of other things. It's important that as an educator presenting these videos, you're reading the room to see if students need emotional support or other types of support. I encourage you all to pause the video, engage in these discussions, as well as do your own research around Afro-textured hair to really support in the discussion. Lessons 4 through 5 is an article or an expository text around the Crown Act, protecting cultural and ethnic hair identity, found in your workbook. This is a great moment for, again, to do your own research to support students in learning about the Crown Act and its impact in schools as well as in policy and in the nation. Then you get to learn about these variety of vocabulary words in lessons 1 through 2. The PowerPoint provides a variety of examples as well. Lesson 3 of Cycle 2 is a game, Our Hair. Students will get to engage in these cards of anecdotes of these individuals defining meaning of hair in their own culture and their own identity. Students get to write down their thoughts. Students can also wander and ponder. Again, another great moment to engage in this discussion. Then you'll jump to lesson 4, where you're again reviewing subordinating conjunctions. Although rather than because, and students get to select which subordinating conjunction really fits with the sentence and what makes the most sense. And something that supports lesson 4 is lesson 5, where they get to create these complex sentences as well as use the subordinating conjunctions to better support their understanding. And this is all found in the student workbook. Lesson 6 again reviews the cycle question: how could you persuade lawmakers to support the Crown Act in order to protect people's rights to express their identity through their hair? This could elicit a lot of emotions. I encourage you all to really be mindful of how students are doing, how they're feeling, but also setting discussion norms again so that students are respecting one another's opinions as well as they're listening with intent. We've also provided teacher resources to engage in sensitive discussions. For example, here for teacher references, some possible arguments for, right, to answer the question, possible arguments for and against a law that bans hair discrimination, and possible arguments against. The possible arguments against section could be sensitive, so I would be mindful of reading through these as well as providing examples, real-world examples that could support students' understanding as well, in addition to the ones that are provided. Here we've also provided methods on how teachers can discuss. So for example, ask for clarification, encourage students to challenge one another, encourage students to participate, etc. If you would like additional time, please pause and read this slide, or you can also find it on the website. Then we also have Unit 3, Cycle 3, Writing. And they are writing a testimonial where you will need the PowerPoint, student workbook, and lesson plans. And this one's a bit different than the other cycles and other units because students get to engage in a multimodal text. So they get to watch a video of a testimonio of Mi Abuela Panchita. There's transcriptions as well in the case that students may need to follow along as well. But this is an example of a testimonio, where it's a personal narrative of someone or of themselves. And a testimonio, right, we define it in the PowerPoints. And again, you can pause to read it, but this is essentially a story about themselves. And again, ties back to cycle 0 around identity, and it gets interwoven around cycle 1's themes of language and identity, as well as cycle 2's theme of race and identity. And this is the assignment, where students get to brainstorm some ideas of their testimonio. This could also be a great opportunity for students to engage in various discussions as well. Again, we leave it up to you. The lesson is denoted for 3 days, but you are welcome to take more or less. Again, following the lead of your students is important. This is the writing assignment, right? Breaking down what a testimonio is, infusing setting and characters, which are important, as well as additional other ideas. And ultimately, they get to answer the prompt, write a testimonio about your identity and why it's important in your life. Hopefully, they're able to use examples from their own life, but also examples that are presented to them from Crown and the variety of other multimodal text. And then lastly, we present to you the scope and sequence. Here's a QR code and as well as a tiny URL code link where you could access the scope and sequence to plan further, add days, take away days, whatever you see fit. But again, this is Unit 3, Cycle 0 through 3. We are super excited that you got to engage with this CLAVES curriculum, and we really hope you enjoyed Unit 3, one of my favorite units, and good luck with the rest of the training. Take care. Bye.